you're at a bit of a new angle today, which means you are balanced precariously. So we'll see how we get on. But anyway, hello, I'm Caitlin. Welcome or welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be doing a 10 before the end. So I've seen this challenge video quite a lot across my socials at the moment. Sorry, this is really hot. And yeah, I thought I'd join in. So I'm going to be doing 10 books that I own that are on my TBR that I want to read before the end of 2025. Quite ambitious because some of them are chunky, but we live an ambitious task that may or may not be completed. So just gonna jump straight in, really. First up we have Nightshade by Autumn Woods. I've got the gorgeous The Works copy with the sprayed edges that matches my First Time Caller by B.K. Barson. It is gorgeous, and I hope that the rest of the series gets done like this too, because it's very pretty. Anyway, this might be the only non-fantasy book on the TBR. Honestly, I don't know too much about this. It says he'd burned down the world for her, but she plans to burn his to the ground. Ophelia Winters wants revenge. Isolated in the Scottish Highlands, Sarasong University only welcomes students from the most powerful families. Ophelia doesn't belong, but a rare scholarship grants her the opportunity to investigate the accidental death of her parents near the castle grounds. Things get off to a rocky start when she runs afoul of the mysterious Alex Corbeau Green, son of her prime suspect. As far as she's concerned, he's just a younger version of his billionaire father, a monster hiding beneath a beautiful facade. When an unknown tormentor begins to stalk Ophelia, she realizes she may be able to survive Sarasong. She realizes she may not be able to survive Sarasong, on her own. Alex becomes her unexpected ally and her alibi for murder, but as she starts falling for the soft heart that hides beneath his hard exterior, her hunger for revenge wavers for the first time. Can she really bring herself to destroy everything he's ever known? Murder, mystery, revenge. Welcome to Sarasong University. So yeah, I love a mystery, especially when it's not like a crime novel, when it's just like a subplot. But I notoriously am not a fan of a university school setting. I just don't gel with them most of the time. But I'm hoping, because this is a contemporary school and not a fantasy school, I'll get on a bit better with it. And I've heard great things about it, so I'm really hoping I like this one, because I would really like to keep this gorgeous cover and display it. I think it'd be nice to display that face out if I had the room. Next up then we have The Bone Shard War by Andrea Stewart. So this is the third in the Bone Shard Daughter series. What's it actually called? The Drowning Empire. This is the third and final book in that series. And I read The Bone Shard Daughter, it's got to be 2 years ago now. I read it in practically one sitting, devoured it completely. It's such a unique and interesting world. So in the first book in the series, we follow Lin Sukai as she is competing with a boy that her father has taken in and is kind of fostering to become the next Bone Shard Emperor when her father abdicates the throne. And not only is he emperor of this territory, he also can do bone shard magic, and that's how he keeps his subjects compliant. So everyone in this world, when they're of a certain age, they have a bone removed from behind their ear, and that bone is then used in these slightly automated animals, but the bone from the humans gives them kind of life, the magic entwined in it gives them life. And so the emperor is taking the bones from his subjects to kind of fuel his animal automaton army, which is just blows my mind. That, what an interesting plot that is. Anyway, so Lin is competing to become the next Bone Shard Emperor. She's trying to learn all of this magic and how it basically how to do it, and there's lots more secrets in there, and she has to uncover a lot of her father's past. And we also follow a few other different characters throughout the world, and then all their paths kind of collide, which is my favourite way to read a fantasy, is when everything kind of links up and they all join together. So yeah, it was just an amazing story. And the second one, I put that off for a while, but again, it was brilliant. And then this one I have been putting off for a long time, but I think I'd like to finish the series before the year ends. The last paperback in my stack is Heavenly Bodies by Imani Ariu. And I've got the really lovely sprayed edge edition from Waterstones. I really wanted the Fairy Loot special edition. It was absolutely gorgeous, but the resale value on that is crazy expensive, and for a book I haven't read and I don't know if I'm gonna like, even I wouldn't pay those prices. I don't really know much about this, but that's how I want to keep it. You've probably heard of it anyway because it's done the rounds on TikTok and Instagram quite a lot. But yeah, the rest then are hardbacks, and I actually think they're all special editions, which is kind of embarrassing as I haven't read any of them and I just have all of these special editions. I'm just going to pick this one up at random. So next I've got One Dark Window by Rachel Gillig, and I've actually got the first and the second on here because I would like to read the two of them. But this one has this one's another one with quite a unique magic system. So in here the magic is controlled by tarot cards. So each tarot card has a specific skill or power linked to it, and if you're in possession of that card, then you can wield the magic that it gives off, kind of thing. And they're very coveted in the world, and there's a certain one I think that they think is kind of missing, and obviously it turns up with our main character, I think, anyway. I might be making that up entirely. But also alongside that, our main character Elspeth, she has a spirit trapped in her head. I think it happened after she was like had this like magical sickness, and usually people with that don't survive, or they like you have to be, I don't know if you have to be killed, at least you have to be given up to the kingdom or to the king if you have had that magical illness. But she managed to survive it, and now she's got this monster in her head who talks to her, but she's not told anyone because she doesn't want to be killed or sentenced to death. And then alongside that, she has the magical tarot card thing. I don't know whether she's working with someone to get that tarot card or something along those lines. Honestly, I'm not too sure. I just know tarot card magic, really interesting premise, but that is about it. And I got the gorgeous sprayed edge editions, the new like special editions from Waterstones. I don't think they're Waterstone special editions, that's just where I purchased them. But they're stunning. I really like them. And yes, I do also own the paperbacks. I should have just read the paperbacks and then bought the special editions if I like the books, but I couldn't pass them up, and I didn't want them to go out of stock before I'd read the series, so now I just own them, and it is what it is. Next up then is a fairly new one onto my TBR, and that is The Second Death of Locke by V.L. Bovolino, sorry, not T. And once again, would you believe it, I don't really know much about it, but this is the really pretty Illumicrate special edition that came with the September box, I think it was. All I really know about this is that there is there's a mage called Kia, and then Grey, the knight who's sworn to protect him. But she ends up having magic, like lots of magic. She's the heir to the lost island of Locke, and if she dies, all magic will also die. So yeah, big things going on there. But I also think it's going to end up being a romance, which is fun, between the two, the mage and his knight, which is really interesting. And there's a lot of like female knight, oh my dog's back, sorry, female knight stories going around the internet right now. I'm here for it, honestly. Sorry, we have a, oh, we have a guest. If you can see him, this is my dog Goose. But yeah, so that is the general basis for this one. I'm expecting lots of pining and probably them not admitting that they love each other because this and like high stake fantasy things. But yeah, really intrigued by that one. And the edition's pretty. Oh, look at that. I need to show you this now actually, because I've just spotted it at the end under the dust jacket. Really pretty foiling. Next we've got Holly by Adeline Grace. And this is a novella in the Belladonna universe. So I actually finished the Belladonna series last month. I finally read Wisteria, the third book in that series. And then Holly, the novella, came out. So perfect timing, really. But this one kind of is like a Christmas story, a bit like a Christmas special for the characters from the previous world. I don't want to give you any spoilers for any of the characters or anything that happens in those, but I really love the end pages on this. They're very like Christmassy. And then oh, sorry guys, all of the, I think there's like illustrations throughout as well. It would really help if I had two hands, but I have nowhere to put my coffee. So there's like 4-page illustrations and things. And I think the writing is like slightly like green tinged, which is really pretty. But yeah, so it's a gorgeous edition, and I feel like this will be the perfect book to read like one weekend in December. Next up then, this is one of my most anticipated reads for the year, and that's World of Reverence by Rebecca Ross. And this is a book set in the Divine Rivals world, but I think it's, I don't know how long before Divine Rivals, but it's before the setting of Divine Rivals. And I think by the looks of that end paper we have more female knights, which is fun, and a dragon, which is also fun. And I don't know anything about this other than it's set in that world. There's gonna be the same like goddess power, and that's all I know, literally it. But again, that's all I want to know going into it. I don't want anything else spoiled for me. Next up we have Glittering Edge by Alyssa Villiers, I think is how you say her name. Again, this is a really pretty Fairy Loot copy that I bought from Vinted because I don't actually subscribe to Fairy Loot anymore. Not for lack of trying, I'm just on their waitlist. And honestly, the reason I picked this up was because it was said to be for fans of the Raven Boys series, which I loved back in the day. It was one of my favourite series, and I've reread it a few times and it still holds up the test of time in my opinion. The locals of Idlewood whisper of a tragic love story that began a decades-long blood feud. I don't know if we have like... Oh, witches, okay. I don't know if it's just witches or if we're also going to have other like magical creatures in there too. But group of teens caught up in a magical feud, I think, between different families, with some witchy magic and things thrown in there. I don't tend to know a lot about the books I haven't read before going into them, as you've probably guessed by now. But I also quite like it that way. It also, the one I bought from Vinted, came with the little cards that Fairy Loot do, because they were based on the book, so the seller chucked those in, which was kind of them, on a little bookmark. And also the page overlays that go with it, but they're still in the packaging because I don't want to take them out until I'm reading the book because I don't want to get spoils. I don't want to get spoilers for the story. Yes. So final two books now. So we've got The Listeners by Maggie Stiefvater. Again, really pretty Fairy Loot copy that I paid for. It's outside of their subscription, so I was able to get this one, and I love this. Like, how stunning is that? It's like a, I don't know, it's supposed to be a pool. I think it's supposed to be a pool based on what I know about the story. That would make sense. So this is set during World War II, I believe, 1942, in the Avalon Hotel, and the manager of the hotel, our main character, and people come far and wide to this hotel because there's said to be magic in the water there. I don't know if they're like on a water spring or a well or something, and there's magic in the water that I think it kind of just like makes your day better. Like it does like little things for you. It's not like a big magical change that happens. It just makes your life a little bit better the more you drink it, by the sounds of it. Something like that anyway. And 1942 in the war, I think they're Nazis. They kind of like take over the hotel, or at least people working with the Nazis do. And yeah, it just follows the events of that and the people who work in the hotel, I think, and how they deal with that. And right now I'm loving World War II fiction. I say right now, I read The Nightingale by Chris and Hannah recently, and it's my only 5-star of the year so far. It was brilliant. So I'm in that kind of like World War II vibe, but make it fantasy for this one, which will be fun because that's a bit different than the usual. And then lastly, technically it's a series that I put on here instead of one book, and that is the Undertaking of Heart and Mercy series by Megan Bannon. I don't think it has a proper name, but currently there's 3 books out. Let me see if I can lift them all up. There's currently 3 books in the series. We have Undertaking of Heart and Mercy, The Undermining of Twyla and Frank, and The Undercutting of Rosie and Adam, and they're all the pretty Illumicrate editions. So I have read the first one, Heart and Mercy, and again, this was one of my favourite books in the year I read it in. It was really good. I think I rated it 5 stars. And in this we follow Heart and Mercy. So Heart is a marshal of the world of Tanria, and he has to like parole the wilds from these almost like zombie-like creatures. So when a person dies, their soul can escape their body, and that if that soul gets free of Tanria, the world where they live, and goes into the wilds, it can kind of become bad and almost like a zombie-esque thing. So what Heart's job is to parole and rescue those souls, and then Mercy is an undertaker, and then her job, she reunites the souls with the body for them to be laid to rest. So that's how they kind of work together a little bit, but they notoriously do not get on. No one really knows why. They just kind of rub each other up the wrong way and don't vibe with each other. So they have like I don't even think they really know why anymore. They just don't get on. But on one of Heart's trips in the wilds, he gets incredibly lonely and writes a letter just to somebody. He doesn't really write it to anyone in particular, and their postal service is magical, so it gets, he doesn't write anyone on the front of the letter, so it just goes off into the post and finds itself with Mercy, who obviously also needed a friend at the time. So they become like magical pen pals and don't know that they're writing to each other, but then their real life relationship is very fraught. But yeah, so I think it's like a magical take on You've Got Mail, the movie, which is a great film. So it's got that vibes. But it was great. It was such a fun story. I don't want to say enemies to lovers, but it does have the slight vibe of they don't like each other, but then they're gonna fall in love. And this edition has like cute little what they call Polaroids, sorry, has cute little Polaroid pictures in there, which is one of my favourite aspects. But yeah, that was really fun. See, this says fantasy romance, but it doesn't say romantasy. So I don't know if this was out before like romantasy became a big thing. But yeah, incredibly good. And then we also have the other 2 in the series, which I'd love to get to. So this is more of a reread to continue the series, because they are all in the same world. They don't have the same characters in them, but they kind of link up. So I'd like to read the first one to get back into the world and then read the rest. So those were my 10, but more like 13 to read before the end. Like I said, lots of fantasy. I think I'm being a bit ambitious because realistically I read about 6 books a month, so that would be the rest of my books for the year if I was to read them all. So I at least want to make a dent in them, and probably want to get to them at the beginning of next year if I don't get to them now. But let me know if you've read any of these and what one I should start with, and if you got any books that you want to fit in before the end of the year. But thank you very much for watching. Please leave a like, a comment, and feel free to subscribe if you want to see more bookish content from me. But I will see you again in another video.